This is a Fox News alert. I'm John Scott in New York. After weeks of failed attempts, lots of finger pointing and negotiating, President Biden and top congressional leaders say they have struck an agreement in principle to avoid economic disaster and raise the nation's debt ceiling. It comes just days after Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen extended the deadline to June 5th, but Americans cannot breathe a sigh of relief just yet. Congress still has to vote on the legislation, and the president then needs to sign it into law. For more on all of these late-breaking developments, let's get to our Fox News senior congressional correspondent, Chad Pergram. Chad, what do we know?
Well, good evening, John. Right now, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy has been meeting with some of his top lieutenants inside the Speaker's office. He has some of the top whips there, Tom Emmer, who is the majority whip, Guy Reschenthaler, who is the chief deputy whip, also a couple of lieutenants, people who have been negotiating this, Garrett Graves, the Republican from Louisiana, also Patrick McHenry, who is the chair of the Financial Services Committee. They've been talking now for about an hour after the president and the speaker concluded their telephone conversations. That went on from about 6 o'clock, we're told, until 7:28. We're told that they have a deal in principle, but they are waiting for the details. The other nugget that we have learned here in just the past couple of moments is that there's going to be a conference call between McCarthy and the entire Republican conference. They're going to walk them through the parameters of this deal. You know, Kevin McCarthy earlier in the day had indicated that we would probably find out that there was a deal, and then the press, those of us in the press corps, would not learn the details until sometime down the road, because he wants to socialize this with his members. You might remember, and we reported this earlier on the air today, that there was a bit of a conflict, some tension between conservative members and what they were hearing allegedly about what may or may not be in this deal and what is going to be the ultimate piece of paper. Keep in mind that Kevin McCarthy also wants to get this text, the legislative text, out tonight. If he gets it out tonight late, they can probably vote in the House of Representatives. It might be late Tuesday night, because time is of the essence. He has always said that they would have a full 72 hours to review the text. Why is that important? Because if the House gets this through soon, they can get to this earlier in the Senate. John?
But we don't know the details, obviously. For instance, Republicans wanted to hold the line on federal spending. I think it was 1% per year for the next, an increase of 1% per year for the next 10 years. Chad, we don't know the details, and that's where the devil lies.
Yeah, this is kind of hermetically sealed right now in terms of what the information is. We've heard rumor and innuendo about what may or may not be in there. You had the president and Hakeem Jeffries, the Democratic leader, indicating that they wanted to freeze the spending at what we call the 2023 levels. We're in fiscal year 2023 right now, and so they would freeze them at that level. And then when we go to fiscal 2024, starting next year, we would still be at the current levels. The Republicans wanted to go back pre-COVID. They wanted to go back a couple of years. And keep in mind the type of money that they are freezing. This is what we call on Capitol Hill discretionary spending. Discretionary spending only deals with the annual appropriations that Congress sends out every year. It boils down to, about 30-35% of federal spending. Everything else deals with entitlements and debt service. So that's the largest portion of spending. The other thing to look for, and about half of that discretionary spending, I know this is in the weeds, but this is so important here, John, half of that discretionary spending goes toward defense. So if you're going to cut or freeze, and Republicans wanted to increase defense spending, and Democrats obviously wanted to reduce defense spending as part of this deal, is they're really only talking about a remaining 15%. So trying to get some sort of a concrete structural change that's going to make a difference in the spending trajectory of the country over 15% is really hard. And that's where some of those very arch conservative members were saying, what's going to be in this deal? Is it just going to be nibbling around the edges? That's a problem for them.
Yeah, there is talk that Speaker McCarthy is going to need some Democrat votes to support whatever is in this deal. Because some of his most conservative members are not
and John,
likely
I'm looking
to be
off
happy.
to the side here just because we're seeing
ahead.
a little bit of traffic there from the speaker's office here, just to see if there's some coming and going. There's the Memorial Day concert here on Capitol Hill, and so there's a lot of tourists in the building, and then pretty much the only other people are the press corps standing outside the Speaker's office, so we've been seeing some coming and going there. So I'm sorry, I just wanted to take a look there to make sure somebody wasn't coming out. But I will say, I just saw somebody from the Speaker's security detail come out. And if you look at this shot here, they have arranged an array of flags that's coming. And if you're looking at this, this should be our shot from 241 or 242 up on Capitol Hill.
We have it.
You see, if you look at those flags, that tells me that the Speaker is going to come out and say something at some point. So that might be the announcement of the deal, at least what those parameters are. So we're just kind of reading the visual tea leaves here when you start to see that action in front of the Speaker's office.
Yeah, but as you know, because he probably said it to you, Tom Emmer, the Republican whip, came out earlier today and said you're not going to hear anything until we've told every Republican member of Congress, you know, every member of our group. So
right.
The Speaker, it would seem, would be a little while away from making a public statement.
Yeah, and I just got something here just as we were talking. 9:10 p.m. is when the Speaker of the House is going to speak.
Oh, so
that literally just came in here. So
we are about 21 minutes away from that point. Back to, you know, again, the details. There was talk that Mr. McCarthy, Speaker McCarthy, might need some Democrat votes to get this passed because not every member of his caucus is necessarily going to be happy with some of the concessions that have been made in all of the horse trading here.
Yeah, this is going to be a balanced vote. They're going to have buy-in from both sides. One thing I want to point out, and I've talked about this in my reporting the past couple of days, is that those members on the left and on the right, the hard left, the hard right at the margins, they are probably not going to vote for this bill. But there is a wide swath of Democrats and Republicans who might say, we need to raise the debt ceiling. We need to do something on controlling some degree of spending. It's a better deal than we had before. There might be some things in there that Democrats like, that Republicans like, and they will accept that. And again, you know, you need 218 in the House. If you have a lot of votes go away from the Republican side, do the Democrats fill in that gap? They have to have things that they want. We've had a big fight here on Capitol Hill over work requirements in order to receive some federal benefits. So how many Democrats jump off the ship if that is in there? You know, but if this has air cover on the Republican side from the Speaker of the House and air cover for the Democrats from the President, you might actually get a rather large vote here. You might get 260, 270 votes. But again, those people at the margins, they're going to make a lot of noise. They're going to complain about this, but they are not going to vote for this deal. And that was always the expectation. And then if they move it through the House of Representatives, you know, Mitch McConnell, the minority leader, he always said that the deal to be had was between the Speaker and President Biden. And he was going to sit on the sidelines, which is exactly what Mitch McConnell has done. And he says if they can work out an agreement, because, again, you have that buy-in from both sides of the aisle, he said that package, he presumed, would pass the Senate with ease. You need to get 60 votes in the Senate to overcome a filibuster. And again, depending on just how fast they decide to work here in the House, they might get to this at the end of this coming week, maybe even next weekend through the Senate. And what is that before? Just before this new June 5th deadline set by the Secretary of the Treasury, Janet Yellen.
But the president said that he wanted a clean bill. He essentially said in the beginning he wasn't going to negotiate. He wanted what he wanted. So I guess the fact that they have come up with something, if everybody is disappointed or if everybody is disenchanted with the contents of the bill, it's possibly a pretty good bill.
Yeah, that's usually the way things work here on Capitol Hill. You don't get everything that you want. I said this on the air the other day to Neil Cavuto, and that Henry Clay, the Speaker of the House, you know, from Kentucky, senator, legendary political figure, said that compromise is negotiated hurt. And so that's kind of what they're going to get out of this deal. They're going to get compromise. People are going to be hurt. But if they get this through the House and the Senate in the next couple of days, it's not going to be hurtful for the United States because they will have lifted the debt ceiling.
87,000 IRS agents, they were supposed to be on the chopping block from the Republican side. But again, we don't know whether that is happening or not as a result of these negotiations.
You said it best. The devil is in the details. We have to see these details. That's one of the reasons why Kevin McCarthy has embraced this 72-hour rule. So we don't wake up Tuesday, Wednesday and say, oh, there's some little item somewhere in the bill that nobody knew about. Members are going to look at that carefully. And the other reason, John, just to kind of, put a button on all this, is it takes the Congressional Budget Office several days to go through and score or evaluate the cost of this bill. That's the other reason for those 72 hours.
All right. Chad Pergram on Capitol Hill. Chad, thank you.
My pleasure.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.